If you're part of Sanji's fan club, you're not gonna like this episode at all. Because today Zoro is about to teach this little kitchen boy how you make a Gorosei run for his life. Stussi's kitty self gets a call from Edison, who sounds like he just crawled out of hell, begging her to shut down the barrier and escape. But she says she won't let anything happen to the Mugiwara before they get away. That's when our tin-head buddy explains that the barrier is totally useless now, since it can't stop the monsters breaking in. In other words, the shield that was supposed to protect them is only trapping them on the island. Saturn and Mars walks through the lab, shutting down the Dendenmushi with pure Conqueror's haki. Edison says he already did everything he could to make sure the Straw Hats escape. Now it's up to them. Stussy gets relieved, because if they failed to escape, Stella would hate her forever. Edison tells her that would never happen, and tells the blonde to run now. But Stussy is confused like your ex, and says that without Stella she doesn't even know what she's living for. Outside, Jinbei apologizes for being late, but Zoro tells him to man up and stop saying sorry because everyone's already stressed. But Nami overhears it, gets pissed, and says she's going to beat him later. She yells for everyone to hurry because the marine ships are surrounding them, and she refuses to be attacked the moment they hit the water. Down below, Atlas is crushed by Stella's death, but has way too much work to stop and mourn. Kash and Neimo fight the bald-headed Nuskuru, and Sanji jumps in from behind with a Concassé strike, but the Gorosei blocks it midair like it's nothing. Sanji throws two kicks to dodge the counterattack, but the old man gets pissed and blasts him away with a massive headshot. Kash grabs Nosuro's horse by the tail to hold him still. Then Oimo and Bonnie charge in to smash the old man, but Nusuro blocks both of them effortlessly and sends them flying. He even lands a kick on Kash and goes straight to slice Bonnie in half. Everyone panics, including the Supreme Simp who freezes in terror, but Frankie arrives in the last second, saving Bonnie from becoming mincemeat. Nuzuro only cuts the front of the giant ship, and Bonnie reverts to her child form after losing all her strength. The Elbaf warriors say they can't lower their guard against that old demon, but suddenly he takes off, galloping in the sky. During the transmission, Vegapunk explains that the Void Century ended with Joy Boy's defeat, and Nojuro sprints away because he has to stop the broadcast. The scientist explains that Joy Boy's loss left behind unimaginable scars of war. Nojuro gets fully pissed, calling humans insolent worms, and straight up splits the floating island in half. Stussy falls backward as everyone watches the island being divided. The world government gets desperate to end the broadcast. Sea-base holding the island collapses, and everyone begins falling from the sky. The CP agents hit the ground like pancakes. Back to the broadcast, Vegapunk explains that what's obvious today wasn't obvious in a void century, because the entire world already sunk once, and now people live on fragments of what used to be continents. The revolutionary are stunned, unable to believe that the world 1,000 years ago is lying destroyed at the bottom of the sea. And if sea levels keep rising, they'll suffer the same fate. Then we're reminded of the beauty of family genes, because look at Nami's sister turning into a complete goddess. She says she has no time for nonsense and goes back to her tangerine fields. Vegapunk explains that in only 100 years, sea level rose 200 meters. The Marines are shocked because their warship is only 60 meters tall. At that rate, it's easy to imagine the world sinking entirely, but their captain tells them not to listen to that criminal. In Mocktown, the people are laughing so hard they're crying at Vegapunk's wild claims. In Sakura Kingdom, Dalton asks if this is even possible, and Dr. Kureha cracks up, saying young Vega loves throwing bombs like that she likes him. In the desert, where the former Baroque Works agents are, there's a mountain exactly 200 meters high, and they imagine how many people must have died if water rose that much. Vegapunk says logically you'd think such a rise was natural, but he's sure it was man-made. Morgans freaks out and Vivi has to shut him up. Vegapunk says he studied every science possible, climatology, geology, meteorology, and all of them confirm it is impossible for sea level to rise 200 meters in only 100 years naturally. And when he predicted another spike the next day, he confirmed everything. The ancient weapons that once sunk the world 800 years ago still exist and they're waiting to be reactivated. Meaning, the Great War of the Void Century never truly ended. Emu goes bloodthirsty after this. People can't believe any of it, because nobody even knew the war existed. How could it still be happening today? At Emu's castle, he stares at a picture of a woman identical to Vivi, likely Queen Lily of the Nefertari family. Vegapunk apologizes but says the world needs to know. Meanwhile, Cobra's people mourn Vivi. Vegapunk explains he sought to create a new energy source for the world, and even though it's not finished, the Mother Flame has reached stability. It could bring prosperity to all nations. The problem? A fragment was stolen. On Egghead, the Marines don't want to enter because everything is on fire. Stussy asks what's happening. Edison explains that the lab stratum failed, and he can't send the island clouds anymore. He begs Stussy to flee. She asks if she can free Kaku, since he and Lucci will be blamed for the mission failing. Edison apologizes for making her betray her partners, but tells her to do whatever she wants, just survive. She cries hard, but with a smile. Vegapunk continues. 2 weeks after the Mother Flame fragment was stolen, they detected a blinding flash in Lulusia. Then the entire kingdom was obliterated. The girl rescued from there can't believe someone did that. Vegapunk says only the Mother Flame could generate such power, and that was just a fragment. Imagine the full weapon. At the reverie, no one even knew Lulusia was destroyed. Vegapunk admits the weapon uses energy source. He has no idea who activated it, but admits he is now guilty for thousands of deaths. Momonosuke panics, screaming that Pluto might be activated, but Kinemo headbutts him to shut him up. Vegapunk explains that long ago there were three ancient weapons, and Joy Boy intended them to be passed down to future generations. Why? Was Joy Boy trying to sink the world? Who's good and who's evil? The answers will appear eventually. Sengoku nearly chokes on his food. Vegapunk says when people discover those answers, the world might sink again. The Void Century is full of mysteries, but some people knew everything, and those people were the Pirate King's crew. Marines lose their minds. Akainu is furious because Vegapunk won't stop talking. Crocus hates this because he lived it. People are shocked that such a dangerous secret was entrusted to pirates. York panics, confused about how Stella knew she stole the Mother Flame since Sync was disabled. She realizes the timing doesn't match. That means he knew what the government would do before it happened. And if so, he wouldn't have simply hidden the transmitter. Meanwhile, Jupiter devours all CP agents
Do
out of
Vegapunk.
hunger. Then York calls Gorosei and says she knows where the transmission snail is inside the fabric of face, protected by the Iron Giant. The same one the marine ships are bombing without leaving a scratch. Vegapunk asks why those who uncovered the truth disappeared without telling anyone. In Baratie, Rayleigh is unusually drunk, and Shaki says Vegapunk is talking too much. Riley grumbles that he's ruining the fun for the new generation. In Water 7, pirates get excited about underwater treasure and ancient cities. One guy calculates that gold must be 200 meters deep. Another tells him he's stupid because not every old city is Shandora. Then the other genius says what if we just use a submarine? But they're broke and can't afford one, let alone food. Easier to befriend a mermaid than ask her to grab treasure. Meanwhile, Mont Blanc Cricket shines with excitement. After years of being cold crazy for chasing Shandora, he's ready to go diving again. At G5 Marine Hospital, the SWORD unit recovers from Ratino's beating. Rumiko starts connecting dots. Hibari is worried about Kobe and offers him kisses to feel better. Kuzaku says the commander is recovering. X-Drake sulks alone. Kobe says if Vegapunk is right, they're screwed, and that means it's time for SWORD to act again. Back to the broadcast, Vegapunk says he can't share more because the rest is just his theory, but everyone wants to know what Roger discovered and never revealed. The Straw Hats realize the barrier is off, they can leave, but marine ships gather right where they're landing. Brook confirms the Sunny is loaded with cola for the coup de burst. Nami yells, asking where the hell Jinbei is, but he and Zoro are chasing Nushuro's skeletal horse. They're not swerving, the demon ballhead is heading straight for the Sunny. Nusuro raises his blade to slice the ship in half. Everyone panics. Jinbe uses a fishman jujutsu heave and throws Zoro like a missile toward him. Zoro lands on Nitoriu Rashomon, but the Gorosei blocks it. Their haki tear the air with electricity. Noshuro notices Zoro is using Enma's real steel. The explosion separates them. Jinbei catches Zoro like a baseball and tells the crew to launch the sun and they'll catch up. Below, Bonnie yells for Luffy to hurry as Marines surround the giant ship. Vice Admiral Round orders them to blast the legendary vessel. Luffy actually hears Sanji scream and tells everyone to launch. He's almost there. Dory and Brogy order Elbaf warriors to prepare to leave once and for all. Marines shoot non-stop, but the giants fire gigantic arrows and bullets that are basically demolition balls. Vice Admiral Blue motivates the troops, saying those fossils are nothing. But those fossils are terrifying the new marine recruits. A horned sequel jumps from above burying his axe in a ship. Giants play with marines like they're tiny mortals fighting colossal titans. Marines freak out, but Blue orders them to man up, because this is their moment to shine. She fires a laser tearing a hole in the airbuff ship like paper. Doll flies in furious, saying the next hole will be in their heads. She punches Cash with armament haki in full rock and roll mode. A beautifully matched fight. Sometimes Doll hits hard, sometimes Cash gets slammed. Vice Admiral joined the fight. Meanwhile, Luffy notices Saturn vanish, and since they're not being chased, they return to the Sunny. The four Apocalypse Knights surround the Iron Giant that attacked Mary Geoise 200 years ago. Vegapunk says he'll leave one last message for everyone with the initial D. The elders panic. Dragon watches silently. Sabo thinks of Luffy. Kobe thinks of Luffy and Garp. Beppo thinks of Law. Even Blackbeard pauses to listen. Right when Vegapunk is about to reveal everything, Saturn headbutts the Iron Giant so hard it flies upward, crashing into the transmission snail, ending the broadcast at the most important moment possible. The giant falls on marine ships, exploding everything. York sighs in relief they managed it at the last second. Marines jump into the sea to avoid being crushed. Dorabo sinks, mumbling about Joy Boy, and the episode ends. If you're already hyped and want the next episode as soon as it comes out, drop OP 1150 inches the comments. Smash that like button, subscribe so we can hit 1 million subs this year. Only 813,000 to go, I believe. Now check out the next video on screen. It's absolute fire. Thanks for watching, and I'm out.